Resident Evil Requiem cured my biggest fear in horror. It's not the horrid creatures or the bone-chilling atmosphere. My biggest fear is that at some point, I'll stop being scared. Which is ironic, I know, but since I love horror games for their ability to scare me, the more I play, the more I'm slowly building a tolerance to fear. So when Resident Evil, with 30 years of horror games under their belt, releases one of the scariest games in the franchise, it is a big reminder that there is still countless ways of shivering me timbers, and there's no bigger reminder than how they deal with their protagonists. A genre known for invoking strong feelings, immersing myself with the protagonist is important, especially in a series well known for its charming, charismatic characters. So how does Grace Ashcroft pair against her more popular co-star? I already like her. When they scream at Resident Evil, it used to be like,
Oh no! Sorry.
Now it's like, how the fuck are you gonna make me care about a random PS2 character? No one has played the game. Sorry to like the 5 fans I've offended. With how strong and gripping her performance is, it's immediately captivating despite her being a complete mess. She can't even look her boss straight in the eyes, but we know she's capable due to her being an FBI technical analyst. Even her boss is like, I need a good technical analyst on this. Which is why they'll send Grace to an abandoned location alone. Since I already know this is a horror game, I've seen the Steam tags, I was just eagerly waiting for all hell to break loose. I spent my time getting scared of nothing, birds, buckets,
Grace, relax.
public restrooms.
Oh, okay, yeah, watch.
Things like this made me realize how often horror games try to get your attention like right off the bat. Either with an action set piece or striking visuals. Outlast, boom, 4 minutes. The Last of Us, boom, 5 minutes. Since Resident Evil has existed before I was born, it doesn't need to prove itself as fast as other games do, giving time to build up toying with yours and my expectations. So when the first moment of horror you're expecting, it still catches you off guard. It's unexpectedly expected. Still got my ass. It's insanely impressive that it can still scare me even if I was expecting it. It's like knowing a sad movie spoiler beforehand and still weeping when the spoiler happens because the outcome doesn't matter, it's the experience. Despite this horrifying moment, the last thing that people want to hear is,
If this is... Who's there? What do I do? Yes, I want to report a murder. What the hell? No. The Redwood Hotel.
which I understand how that could be annoying. Like, how the fuck is she an FBI agent and she's this clumsy? But this game does a great job portraying that she's just scared, not incompetent. Any normal person would be afraid if a zombie had a shotgun point blank on their face. To give props, Grace's first experience with a zombie is actually well done. Even in a tense scenario, she's shown to be resourceful and bright. The moment she was overpowered by the zombie, she quickly grabbed a glass shard from their scuffle and pushed that bitch ass zombie off the window. That zombie was literally biting on the metal rod. This freak ass zombie, demonstrating Grace's high battle IQ, but demonstrating how deeply terrified she is. It reminds us that Grace is just an ordinary girl sometimes. Then they ripped the fucking bandage off, threw away the training wheels, kicked it in turbo, bitch. What the fuck? You're humongous. Fucking V5 foam. Weave. Oh, have you seen the shadow ghost? Guess she's been watching you? I'm scared. The fuck you mean the shadow ghost is watching me? Fuck, okay, not doing that. Fuck you, bitch. Oh fuck, you're invincible, you're invincible. You can't get me. Cause I gotta stay in the light, and you can't be in the light. You can't. Oh, where'd she go?
Okay, I'll leave.
Okay, safe. Closer, yes. Now's not the time for that. Fuck. What is this, Minecraft? Oh shit. Go. Dude, I'm fucking immersed. This section of the game was only supposed to be like 30 minutes. It took me 3 hours. I think I spent that long because I have an immediate reaction to pause the game whenever something remotely scary happens. Stop! Oh my god. At this point, me and the pause menu are basically best friends.
Hey, over here.
That entire section is already like top 5 scary moments in horror games for me. Weirdly enough, I was kinda bummed out. I would have liked to see more of the girl, since she gave me such an unforgettable experience, which in turn made me appreciate Grace Ashcroft as a character. It's essentially my Chris punching Boulder moment for Grace. The thing is, that was like 10% of the game. Can the game still reach stratospheric high as the introduction? Well, yes, by using what was taught in the introduction by expanding the location by tenfold. Boom, the care center. Complicated labyrinth, a sanatorium with too many rooms unrelated to a sanatorium. Sanatorium. Filled with the smartest and kindest zombies you'll ever meet.
Oh, yeah. Did he say thank you?
Especially reiterating one of my favorite gameplay styles, stealth.
Oh, fuck.
Stealth works so well in tandem in survival horror because of how it involves me in the environment. I noticed in my playthrough in other survival horror games, I had a tendency to outmaneuver the enemies to conserve my resources. It's a good game plan, but it makes the enemies just seem like inconveniences rather than an inconceivable monster. But since Grace is as slow as Rockstar's release output, shots fired, I had to be a lot more careful and thoughtful traversing this maze and this sanatorium. And boy do I love me some stealthy segments. I actually like the Mary Jane segments in Spider-Man because I'm a sick fuck. I remember exactly when I came across, let's call him Chuck. I had to quietly push his food cart to get across the room. I got in this motion where I had to keep running back and forth so he couldn't catch me. I'm pretty sure I was actively holding my breath as if he could hear me in real life. I was immersed. I'm telling you, how can Requiem cure my biggest fear of me not being scared and cure my second biggest fear of not being able to hold my breath for longer than 5 minutes?
Mini game with this moronic shit.
I realized that many people weren't as careful as I was, but this little section teaches you don't exactly always need to use your ammunition, which is another reason why I love stealth in survival horror, because the combination makes me more aware of resource management, which, you know, the whole appeal of the survival horror genre. This more quiet and somber approach of exploration made me realize how truly scarce the resources are. The gun that Leon gave me, 1 bullet. The gun that I found on the floor, 0 bullets. What the fuck, Capcom? I was skating uphill just to find something to defend myself with. It feels like they're teasing me. I know what this gun is capable of. Why don't you let me use the gun? The gun's literally the name of the game. Where's Resident Evil Chainsaw? It seems like everybody owns a chainsaw in this universe. Whoa, what the fuck? It does seem like an odd choice to give such a powerful weapon off the bat, but it's just another weapon with resources that I had to manage. Should I use it on this guy? But ooh, I don't know. There could be a more terrifying foe lurking around the corner. That strong contrast between an insanely busted weapon with this small dainty gun makes choosing what resources to expend more meaningful. Obviously I'm gonna use the small dainty gun, but the uncertainty of what comes next made me on edge. I can never properly tell what's next. Oh fuck! So eventually when I learned how to do blood magic, I could craft more resources, I could make zombies go bye-bye, I can inject myself with the copious amounts of steroids. It felt incredible. Yes, I can win. But the issue is that I'm getting better. Progression. The main problem with horror games is that as the game goes on, you get less scared. I'm getting used to the tense atmosphere and Chuck. Progression is a main contributor to my biggest fear, and the cool thing is that they were definitely aware of this because of how well it lines up with Grace's character arc. Since you have to be responsible for taking care of Emily, keeping the game fresh and exciting, but she's also a kid that's blind. Emily will obviously be scared and confused. He's scared too if the only thing I could hear was I was like, fuck, can't both be scared. Which gave me a lot more courage to clear out the enemies around the care center, even using a Requiem, a weapon that I barely used just so that I could keep Emily safe. The game hypes you up because now you're the one protecting someone. I'm the main girl. I'm the one you see on Pinterest. I'm Leon Kennedy. Sorry fellas, but I'm currently unavailable. Sorry, but I'm not on the menu.
Talk about a curtain call. Sorry, but I'm not that kind of girl.
And you know what they do?
Thank you.
Hey, Allie. Remember what you said earlier?
Weirdly enough, I was kinda bummed out. I would have liked to see more of the girl.
Why would you say that? Don't you feel stupid? Don't you? I feel like I should have expected her to come back considering how short and sweet that entire section was. But also, look? I was dreading to re-experience it all over again, but I had to keep going on. Because I'm making a video on this. Man, I don't even want to talk about it. Editor Ali, do you want to talk about it? Just want to talk about the music instead? Yeah, okay. Horror in general always goes for a more ambiance approach to music to enhance the dreadful atmosphere, which is a bit harder to talk about since how well it enhances the mood without me initially noticing it. But if your series has music like this, then you better expect some bangers. Bangers like when Grace is encountering a zombie. It's like, then Leon is like, when Grace plays the piano, it's like, when Ether Winter plays the piano, he's like, that's not related to the video, I just wanted to mention that. It's little details like that that can greatly exemplify the experience. A moment where I'm quietly listening for footsteps to assess the situation.
Oh, I'm so fucked.
When Grace is quietly shivering. When a loud noise suddenly hits after a moment of silence. Go again. Another sound effect I like is when there's like a title drop. Just why does it happen so much? You might have noticed that I've been doing that this entire video. That wasn't a cute editing trick, that was poking fun at it. Even with unserious moments like this, it's fascinating how a game can make me laugh and scare me in a second. Especially with the girl, even if it does just seem like they're reusing enemies. But I think it's a really unique case of disempowerment. Horror games in general are supposed to make you feel powerless in an unwinnable situation by mostly removing anything that could give you an advantage. You know, the disempowerment. But to go back to a previous point, you eventually get better at dealing with these situations. You know, empowerment. And there only seems to be one solution to this. It's just by taking everything you own. The amount of times I've seen survival horror games just take away your resources just to keep the game fresh and exciting is quite frankly a lot. It even happens in Super Mario Odyssey. Thing is, these kind of situations are only temporary. Other games try to circumvent this by making you powerless from beginning to end. Then the horror just becomes more of a jump scare fest. But in some ways, in order to make it scarier, you need to be able to defend yourself. Because it's more like, I actually gotta fight this thing? What? That's what I love about Requiem. Like, I actually didn't lose anything. I'm actually more prepared for this situation than I was before, which is why Grace willingly jumped in that hole. It reintroduces an old challenge and takes the more complex challenge added from the care center for a whole new pant-shitting experience.
I just gotta push this thing. I gotta leave. Are you fucking kidding me?
What? It's these tense and vulnerable situations where I'm like, damn, let me play as Leon Kennedy. I've been scared for way too long. I haven't talked about Leon until now because many people would believe his inclusion in the story would make the game less terrifying, which, yeah, it seems like Leon would contribute to my biggest fear
Of not being scared of horror games.
But in order for those terrifying moments to be ingrained in your nightmares, you need those moments where nothing is happening. Most of the time, the downtime is subjugated to puzzles, which is why every horror game has those convoluted maps with, ooh, secret doors. That's a weird fucking door. Which is why Leon is a much needed third element, adding a needed serotonin boost from the cortisol spiking moments from Grace. It's the best of both worlds, as some would say. Survival horror as Grace and action horror as Leon, and I love that stark contrast is provided by both gameplay styles. It's also helped with how short Leon's section is, because it shows that Leon could do what Grace couldn't. Grace couldn't easily fight the hordes of zombies, Leon can. Grace can't fight Mr. McDoubles. Leon can. Nadie. Especially when Emily mutated into a monster, Grace couldn't possibly shoot Emily, but Leon could. When this happened, I was like, that emphasizing the strong contrast between Leon and Grace by showing the difference on how they deal with adverse situations. Oh my god, whoever came up with this, I could just mwah. Then for the remainder of the game, you play as Leon, which is honestly the perfect place to switch gears. With Resident Evil, the second half of the game always seems to be more guns blazing, and that initial feeling gets lost, which seems to be most cases for horror games. So with Requiem, instead of that gradual progress, it's just like I feel like there's no in between, which I weirdly like. I understand the importance of having a desirable balance between two extremes, you know, the golden mean, but I'm coining my own term, the golden extremes, which I think is a much better approach with alternating gameplay styles. They toyed with ideas in the past, like with Ashley, Lantern segment, Ada's Wong secret spy shenanigans, Clancy's escape from Louisiana. The issue is that they weren't too different from the main gameplay style, or either was too short to leave any notable impact. I completely forgot about Ashley's gameplay segment until I was looking at an RE4 playthrough. So Grace Ashcroft, Leon Kennedy, the Golden Extreme was much needed for the series to reinvent itself. But with so many things that they improved on, there'll be some things that'll be less polished. This is how I felt about, unfortunately, Leon Kennedy. While I do admit that Grace and Leon show the extremes of both sides, Leon isn't fully realized because they try to put the survival horror elements into action horror where it's not needed. Action horror isn't scary because of the atmosphere and vulnerability like survival horror. Action horror is supposed to excel in stress, the stress that comes with juggling all various factors: resources, environment, enemies, etc. Usually this is done by having a goal that can be beaten by simply gun blazing. For example, a time limit, escort missions, or enemies that have a unique way of beating them. Leon Kennedy's overarching goal was just to get to 3 points of interest. That's not as fun. It worked with Grace because one zombie was insuperable and I had to explore this sanctorium with 3 points of interest with a bunch of zombies? Oh no! But Leon Kennedy can easily deal with one zombies. I would actively just walk slowly because what's the rush? The game definitely wanted me to engage in the combat since I literally benefit from military money points, which I wanted to engage in. I even remember sniping zombies from out of bound locations, but it came too easy to me since it just kept making me overpowered. I didn't play this game just to fulfill some sick power fantasy. If I wanted that, I would have watched Solo Leveling or something. It also didn't help that they tried to copy the complicated labyrinth level design from Grace's section and import it to Leon, but it ended up feeling bloated because it expanded the map size but lacked the fun and memorable zombie encounters that Leon should have heavily benefited from. There were only 2 that I remember that were genuinely fun. The area on the rooftop when zombies were able to use mortars. Dealing with constant explosives by maneuvering and hiding in shelter made that moment much more gratifying when I finally kicked his ass. Now I'm the annoying guy with the mortar. The other area is when we're standing on a glass plane, where one shot can lead us to the void. Those sections were fun because of the amount of variables that I had to juggle. I'm saying I need to feel like Anthony Gatto. Fortunately, the problem does stop there because the later portion starts turning into a boss rush. Gideon, Mr. X, Plant 4-3, and Hunk, which I enjoyed a lot more because it was a better showcase of Leon's crazy skill but remains challenging. Leon is at his best when he's struggling. Sorry, Leon. Even with my gratuitous complaints, I'm only critiquing because of my deep appreciation of Resident Evil and horror as a whole. Even with major improvements to the genre, we're still far away from perfecting horror, reminding me that even in the future, there will be new experiences that'll leave me with thousands of noise complaints for my squeals.
Okay.
Because I really do love the feeling horror games can invoke in me. Fear. Which I understand isn't considered a positive emotion to many, but I value fear the same way I do with my other emotions because it's a part of me. a feeling that many wouldn't want to experience when purchasing a game to play in their free time. But with video games and entertainment in general, any reaction they can get out of me reveals what resonates with me as a person. I didn't realize how important contrast was to me until I made like 5 points about it in this video. I had so much more to say, I just couldn't fit it all into one video. And I'm glad to say that Requiem is probably top 5 scariest horror games I've ever played. Yes, I think this game is scarier than Silent Hill 2. Psychological horror doesn't work if you don't have a brain. Like and subscribe, please.